Hello folks. I wanted to make a quick update video on temps and performance on the water-cooled Ryzen PC I made a build video about. At the end of that video, I briefly mentioned temps, and since then I've done some more testing and I wanted to share my results. In the MSI BIOS, there's a setting called Core Performance Boost. On other boards, it's called different things, but basically it's the Ryzen's automatic frequency boost setting. I have read that one of the downsides of the MSI boards is that they don't offer negative voltage offset, which can limit the usability of the automatic core boost setting because it can lead to excessive heat due to high core voltages. With the setting enabled, I did see almost 1.5 volts sustained on all the cores at idle and at light load, and about 1.3 to 1.35 volts under heavy load. The 70C max temps I reported in the last video were with this setting enabled. And I didn't mention it before, but idle temps fluctuated a lot. They generally ranged from the upper 20s to the upper 30s. So my cooling system was keeping up okay with the setting enabled, despite the high core voltage, but I wanted to do some testing with the setting disabled as well and just compare the results. I found that with the setting disabled, I saw steady idle temps of 23 to 24 C, so basically ambient temps in my house. Temps during an IDA64 FPU stress test maxed out in about the low 50s with that setting off. So temperatures definitely came down quite a bit. Core voltage with the performance boost off was around 0.9 to 1 volts at idle, and it only went up to about 1.09 volts during maximum load. So quite a drop in the voltages, which accounts for that drop in temperature. Power draw also came down quite a bit. It was much higher with the core performance boost enabled. Maximum CPU power draw during stress testing as well as during Cinebench runs was just over 140 watts with the core performance boost turned on. With it turned off, the maximum CPU power draw was only 95 watts. I did benchmark testing both ways, and unsurprisingly, the single thread performance suffered the most with the performance boost setting turned off. And that's just because, the core performance boost can boost the frequency on a single core at a time a lot more than it can across all cores at the same time. So multi-threaded performance didn't fall nearly as much. I only saw about 5 to 6% performance drop in most benchmark tests. For instance, multi-threaded Cinebench runs only showed about a 5% drop in score with the setting off versus on. But Cinebench single-thread testing showed a 12% drop in score. And that was the only benchmark that showed nearly that much drop. I ran the built-in benchmarks in IDA64 and only found about a 5 to 7% performance drop with the core performance boost setting turned off. Now, as of right now, I'm actually just going to leave that setting turned off. Even though the performance difference is clearly measurable and fairly significant when it comes to single-threaded performance, I didn't really notice a big difference in normal use. Now, I have a feeling that any programs that I use on a regular basis that rely on single-thread performance, they're probably just not very taxing programs in general, so it doesn't really matter that much, and that's why I'm not seeing the big difference there. And multi-threaded performance only dropped about 5%. And at least for the time being, a 5% performance boost doesn't really feel worth it to me for a 30% increase in temps, and more importantly, a 50% increase in power draw. But we'll see how I feel down the road. Maybe I'll actually try manually overclocking at some point just to see where I can get. Not sure, but I might try that. Either way, I wanted to share what I found from my testing so far, and it seems that my cooling loop is actually doing pretty well, with it being able to keep the temps at 70C with over 140 watts being drawn by the CPU. I may end up testing the render time differences with the video editing software I use with the core performance boost turned on versus off. Just to kind of see what kind of difference it makes in the real world with the program I actually use. And maybe I'll even end up comparing it to an Intel 8086K system. Not sure, but we'll see. If I do end up doing that and I learn anything interesting, I'll share it. But until then, just wanted to share what I got so far. As always, thank you for watching. Take care.